All right, let's talk. It's hard not to notice that something's off in the world today, right? I mean, every new progress, from AI breakthroughs and influencer culture to OnlyFans, and the new tech-driven economy seems more like it's taking us backwards instead of forward. And maybe that sounds dramatic, sure, but just think about it. All the things we once associated with a better tomorrow, things meant to connect us, empower us, improve life, are somehow making it feel emptier. Have you felt it too? That creeping sense that while we're all racing toward a brighter future, something's falling apart around us. If you have, you're not alone. So let's take a closer look. Chapter 1. Heroes become villains. The fall of role models. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you really respected a public figure, someone you felt was a true role model? Because nowadays it feels like almost every hero has a secret just waiting to be exposed. Take Sean Diddy Combs. For years he was a music mogul and businessman, seen as someone who rose from humble beginnings to become a giant in the industry. But then the stories began to surface, allegations of manipulation and tight control over the artists he signed. For example, multiple reports describe how his contracts seemed to keep artists under his thumb, hinting at a whole different side of his success. If wealth and influence can obscure this much, what else don't we know? And it's not just Diddy. Look at Andrew Tate. He came onto the scene as a coach for young men, claiming to empower them, help them build confidence, succeed financially. Yet beneath that surface, allegations of manipulation and trafficking that paint a different picture altogether. It's a pattern. Kanye West, an undeniable creative genius, but behind the music came the outbursts, the controversies, leaving fans unsure whether to admire or question him. And according to the American Psychological Association, nearly 72% of Americans reported feeling anxious about the behavior of celebrities and public figures, saying it often blurs the lines between role model and cautionary tales. When everyone we look up to seems to have a controversy lurking, who's left to admire? Chapter 2. The dark side of OnlyFans. Addiction, exploitation, and the new porn industry. Now let's talk about OnlyFans. It started as a platform for creators, giving them a direct way to reach fans. But what's it evolved into? It's much darker. For one, it's become addictive, especially among young men. Studies from the Journal of Behavioral Addictions have shown that platforms like OnlyFans have created a new form of dependency. Young men are now spending hundreds, even thousands to feel a connection. That's nothing more than a paid interaction. This isn't just casual use. It's a digital addiction. And then there's the experience of the creators. Sure, there's empowerment on the surface, but beneath it, creators often face burnout, constant pressure, and even regret. A 2022 study found that nearly 40% of OnlyFans creators reported feeling a lack of control over the type of content they had to make to satisfy demanding fans. It's like they're stuck in a cycle, creating more and more intense content just to keep up. And the platform itself? It's making exploitation more accessible, in a private, hidden way. It's a new twist on an age-old industry, making exploitation look like independence and leaving both creators and consumers trapped in a cycle that's hard to break. But it's not just OnlyFans. The technology that's supposed to drive us forward, like artificial intelligence, is beginning to replace meaning in our lives. Chapter 3. The AI Era. When technology replaces meaning. AI was once thought of as a tool to help us build a brighter future. But now it's taking over in ways that feel more like a threat than a benefit. First, think about job losses. AI is entering industries at an unprecedented rate, replacing roles that people once took pride in. According to a 2023 report by Goldman Sachs, AI could displace up to 300 million jobs globally. What happens when machines replace the jobs that used to give us purpose? Then there's misinformation. Deepfakes and AI-generated fake news are making it harder to know what's real. Pew Research shows that 64% of Americans are increasingly worried about the impact of AI on misinformation. In a world where seeing used to be believing, AI is now creating videos, images, and news that can't be trusted. And let's not forget social media. AI-designed algorithms are feeding us content to keep us hooked, regardless of how it impacts our mental health. Studies show that prolonged social media use, driven by AI algorithms, is linked to increased anxiety and depression. It's like the more connected we are, the emptier we feel. Which brings us to social media itself. A generation lost in the endless scroll, craving connection, but feeling lonelier than ever. Chapter 4: Social Media, a generation lost in the scroll. Social media was supposed to bring us together, but for today's youth, it becomes more of a trap than a connection. Studies show that Gen Z is reporting record high levels of anxiety and depression, directly linked to their time on social media. A 2023 study from the American Psychological Association found that 81% of Gen Z feels that social media has a direct impact on their mental health. And let's talk about influencers like Jake Paul and IShowSpeed, who push the boundaries with outrageous behavior. They've built entire brands around controversy, encouraging young people to value fame and shock factor over responsibility and kindness. These influencers are reshaping what success looks like, turning risky and irresponsible behavior into a badge of honor. It's a world where fame is the ultimate goal, but it's making young people more anxious, disconnected, and uncertain than ever. And as we watch this generation struggle, there's another group living by a completely different set of rules: the ultra-wealthy, whose power keeps them shielded from consequences. Chapter 5: The Rich, the Untouchable, and the Corrupt. The elite, the rich and powerful, live in a world where scandals come and go, barely touching them. They move through life as though they're untouchable, and often, they are. Take Jeffrey Epstein's infamous parties, or the powerful circles surrounding figures like Diddy. They have enough wealth and influence to keep their secrets locked behind NDAs and hush money. In fact, a 2023 Transparency International report states that wealth and power still serves as the greatest shields from accountability. Even public figures like Dr. Fauci, who once held public trust, have become embroiled in controversy, making people wonder if we can trust our leaders at all. With those in power protected by layers of influence and wealth, it's hard to believe the system is fair. And we're left wondering, if even justice can be bought, what chance do the rest of us have? But with every scandal, every news story, it feels like we're moving closer to a breaking point. And that brings us to the next big question. Where does this all lead? Chapter 6: What's next? The collapse or the awakening? So here we are looking at a world that feels like it's on the brink. We're torn between collapse and awakening, and the future could go either way. All might lead to a world where inequality deepens, with the rich growing richer while everyone else is left to scramble. Political instability is almost certain in a society fueled by misinformation and a mental health crisis that's growing every day. The big question is, are we too far gone? Or is there still time to pull back? Because the truth is, we can't just sit and wait to see what happens. We have to decide to change it, to pull back from the edge before it's too late. So yeah, that's where we're at. Just a little peek behind the curtain of what's going on around us. And hey, if you're here, then maybe you're just like me, questioning where it's all headed. Maybe even a little too curious for your own good. Honestly though, who needs a dystopian sci-fi movie when we're living in one, right? And if you're down to keep digging into the weird and unsettling, make sure you're along for the ride. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and let's keep uncovering the strange, the twisted, and the kind of unsettling. Until next time, try not to think too hard about the world we're creating, unless you want to lose a little sleep tonight.